Hello, everybody. Welcome. God bless you all. If you are returning from parts 1 and 2, welcome back. I thank you for sticking along. If you have not seen them already, why would you watch part 3 of something without watching the first 2 parts? Click off this video right now. The other 2 are on my channel. Start from part 1, work your way here, alright? Not going anywhere. Lots of information. It is very easy to digest, so long as you have eyes to see, ears to hear, and an open heart, and wish for God to touch it. Wish for God to change your heart. Alright? I'm offering you a lot of information here. It is up to you whether or not you take it. Alright? So, quick recap. Point 1 of how to overcome low self-esteem was to receive a revelation of your personal relationship with God. Point 2 was to neutralize the threat. What is point 3? To pursue humility. Pursue humility. You hear this a lot. Stay humble. I mean, I even say it, you know. However, there's so many different meanings for it. I say so many that, you know, it's been misconstrued, alright? It's been twisted, alright? A lot of people, when they think of staying humble, they only think about, like, the money aspect of it. You know, donating to charity, telling the cashier to keep the change, telling the car hop to keep the change. That's only part of the story. That's only part of it, alright? It's much deeper than that, as is all of these other points. And it's also something that is reiterated throughout all, if not all, the books of the Bible, alright? And I use this example a lot, but it is trying to hit the nail on the head, to drive the point home, alright? To drive it home. So, we will be reading from the scriptures again today. However, we will be reading from 2 books instead of just 1. If you have a Bible with you, if you wish to follow along, feel free to pause the video, take a second, open up to it. Alright? I'm not going anywhere. We will be opening up to Proverbs 27, verse 2. It says verse 2 on my Nana's notes. However, I wish to also read verse 1 because it does tie into it. So, again, feel free to pause the video. So, what does Proverbs have to say about pursuing humility? Let us take a look. And they quote, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips." So that right there speaks volumes. It speaks deeply. All right, and it speaks to all of us. This is something that we all deal with. All right, we're all guilty of this. Boasting. It is a terrible thing in God's eyes. We are all guilty of it. And it's promoted, too, in this day and age. It is promoted so heavily. So, a common thing, I want to keep it short since we have to read from 2 books, but a very common thing is that, you know, you're at work, you get done with your work, you know, or you get done with your task, and then you sit around with your coworkers, you know, and you guys just talk, right? This is all relatable. You guys talk, and it usually goes one of 2 paths, if not both paths. One path is boasting, all right? What you do in your free time, how much work you got done, how much you got paid your last paycheck, whatever. But it's coming from thine own mouth. That's the problem, all right? And it's also just unlawful boasting. It's just evil boasting, all right? It's boasting that Satan would want you to do. God does not want you to boast about your works, even if you are doing God's works, all right? He would want you to preach how he has changed your life, sure, but he would not want you to take credit, all right? He would not want you to do that. And so that's the first path that it usually goes on. The second path is usually, you know, picking on each other, poking fun, whatever. And that's fine. It is fine as long as it's all in good fun, all right? We're all guilty of both of these paths, all right? And it happens 99% of the time. All right. So, let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. If you are doing what God wants you to do, all right, and you're not boasting about it, you're not looking for approval from your fellow man, because why would you want approval from your fellow man and not God and not Jesus Christ? You know what I mean? And so if your brother or your sister in Christ sees you and your works, they will compliment you. However, you cannot take this compliment and twist it. You cannot take it and let it inflate your ego. You can't do that. All right? Because then that just completely, you're missing the whole point, you know? Don't let it be like that. And so, rather take it as a compliment instead of saying, I know, or just some meaningless thank you. Put meaning into your thank you. And if you want to take it a step further, compliment them on their holy works, on works that God would approve of. Not negative works like, oh, yeah, I heard you, slept with so-and-so, or, I heard you got all this money, whatever. Compliment them on godly works that they have achieved, all right, that God has let them do, all right? And that will be a pleasant sight in the Lord's eyes. So, lots to learn from those two verses. That's just two verses, all right? I mean, lots to learn from just one verse, all right? So, again, if you're reading along, if you have Bible with you, the next book that we will be reading from is Romans, chapter 12 to be exact, verse 3. Take a second, pause the video, flip to the book, I'm not going anywhere. What does Romans chapter 12 have to say about pursuing humility? Let us take another look. This one is pretty deep. It would probably be wise to go ahead and follow along. And they quote, "For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith." That's a little bit of a longer verse than usual. All right? But if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, digest it. All right? You can see the meaning to it. All right? Let's try to dissect it. "For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think." So this is more on like a subconscious level, all right? Sure, you can, not boast. That's you being verbal, right? And like putting out your works, right? God wouldn't want you to do that, all right? But this is reiterating the subconscious level in your mind. Do you think highly of yourself? Do you think higher of yourself than God? That's the real question. And so, because thinking highly of yourself in general, all right, too highly of yourself, thinking that you are the best, thinking that you are superior to everybody else, that is not humility. There's always more to learn. You can learn something from every single person on this planet, in this existence. And that's just how it is. Moving on, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. All right? Everyone's walk is different. Everyone has different life experiences. Everyone has a different perspective on existence. All right? But the thing is, it should not affect your faith. It should not affect your faith in Jesus Christ, the one Lord. All right? He requires just as much faith from you as he does the other person. All right? As he does any other person. And so you have to be willing, and this is kind of going back to another point, You have to be willing to put in the work. And what is the work? Well, listening to Jesus Christ's teachings, implementing them into your daily life, from the smallest thought and action all the way to the biggest thought and action, and everywhere in between. That's what matters. That's what matters. So, whole lot there. Pursue humility. Stay humble. Do not listen to the twisted version of it that you're going to hear. You'll see it a lot on social media. Stay humble. Like it'll be a caption, or something, and then it'll be them like telling their car hop at Sonic, like, hey, keep the change, or giving stuff to charity. That might be part of it, yeah. I'm not saying don't do that. Do that by all means, all right? That's still pleasant in the Lord's eyes to give. But if that's all you do, and if you only do it to post it on your Instagram and to inflate your ego, you've got it all wrong. You've got it all wrong, all right? So, on a verbal level, do not boast, all right? If someone asks about your works, you can explain it to them how it is. Don't change it. Don't inflate it in any single way, all right? Tell it to them how it is. Let them compliment you on your works that God has let you achieve. Tell them thank you. Be thankful for the compliment, Don't let it inflate your ego. Notice how I'm saying that a lot. Inflate your ego. Because that's pretty popular nowadays. We are all guilty of it. Take it a step further if you wish. Compliment their works. But only works that are good in the Lord's eyes. Not something that the devil would want you to promote, like, oh, I heard, you slept with so-and-so, or you got this amount of money, or you went to this club the other night, whatever, Don't compliment them on that. Compliment them on their works that they wouldn't expect to be complimented on, that are pleasant and good in the Lord's eyes. And then also, on a subconscious level, do not think too highly of yourself, for there is always more to learn. God will always put something else in front of you. You just have to be willing to see it. Alright? If you've stayed till the end of this video, I thank you. Alright? If you've watched parts 1, 2, and 3, I thank you. And I pray that I've touched your heart in the same way, or whatever way, that God needs me to. Or that God has touched your heart. Ultimately, that is the goal. The goal is to share His Word. That's what Jesus Christ wants us to do. That's what He wanted to do before He ascended to heaven. So, today it is sunny for me, you can see. If it is sunny for you, please go outside and enjoy the day. Please. Let God's golden rays bask through your chest. Alright? Take what I said and sit on it. Maybe read more from the scriptures, see what you can find. I thank you if you have stayed till the end of this video. I pray for you. And again, stay humble, my brothers and sisters. Thank you.